So then we have the partner network. And I think since I'm talking too much, I might need to grab some more tea. So you remember initially I said the network has three components. You have the internal services that Flexup provides, you have the network of external partners, and then you have the marketplace. So that is one way of splitting it, is how the services are provided. This slide gives you a different perspective. It's not how we do it, but what we do. So what kind of things what can the network provide? Well, it can provide expertise, like I need a few hours of Paula, I need a few hours of Nico. That's like spot expertise, and it can be in-house or partners. Okay. But through the marketplace, you can also hire a developer, you can hire freelance, you can hire a designer, whatever. But soon, I would like also to provide a way for investors to find projects that they want to invest in, and for startups to find investors. So it's kind of a marketplace for funding. Okay. It's like a crowdfunding platform. You probably know crowdfunding platforms. There's many out there. So it's not a complex feature to introduce, right? But we need to make sure that from a legal point of view, we do it properly. From a UX point of view, it's done properly. And we need to have a big user base, right? There's no point having a marketplace if there's no one in it. And that's one of the interesting aspects of Flexup, is that we don't need a marketplace to start, because the app is already useful if you're alone, right? Lara is using the app. It's just her and her team, and it's useful for them. But once we have 1 million users, then we can open the marketplace, and then you immediately have lots of potential clients and suppliers and investors. So who is it for? Well, I like to say that it's for everybody, but to start, let's be a bit modest. So freelancers and solo founders. So if you're alone, you can already start your project and you can use it for bookkeeping your own stuff. So it's just a simple and free business app like accounting. Now, as a freelancer, you can be paid in equity. So that's all of you guys, you're being paid using Flexup's equity. So you're part of a project and you get a share of the pie. That's your benefit. For a startup like Flexup, I can hire great people, even if I don't have enough cash to pay, proper market rates. So I can bootstrap, but I can also bootstrap by paying my suppliers. This is the case of the quail farm. They buy the kit and they only pay 1/3 of the kit in cash and the rest in equity. Now, in the Flexup system, there's no difference between an employee and a supplier. Everything is called a supplier. It doesn't matter. And you can raise funds without losing control. So Lara is raising funds, but for now she's giving tokens. But she still owns her company 100%. And that's very important. So she gave away 30% of the tokens, but from a shareholder point of view, it's still her company. Now, what SMEs and agencies like MasterCard Foundation, they want visibility, transparent. So companies that are failing because they have a high cost structure. This is a use case that I made a few years ago, and Nico, maybe you can help me write a nice blog article to explain this. Your company is going bankrupt because your costs are too high. Then you go and see your employees and say, look, I'm going to keep your salaries, but 10% will now be paid on a flexible basis. Do you agree? If you don't agree, we go bankrupt. if you agree, we can survive, and you all become associates and shareholders. And if they agree, then the company can restructure in a fair way and transparent way. And then after that, all employees are associates. Now they have a strong motivation for the company to succeed. And then maybe they can improve and becomes profitable again. And then all the investment that the employees made by putting 10% of their salary in the credits, then at some stage they will get their money back plus profit. So this is very good for motivation and for resilience. Okay. So you see, this is a completely different set of needs compared to a startup. Very different. And FlexUp can respond to both, right? What are the benefits for investors? Because let's go back here. If I'm an investor and my company is going well, the current system is good. Why should I go to FlexUp? I keep all the profits. I'm very happy. In fact, I did used to go see some investors and they said, but the current system is great. I love investing in companies. It's like going to the casino and taking bets. And I say, yeah, that's good for you if you're rich and you can play around with your money. But for the people who are going bankrupt or for the employees that are not being paid proportionally to the profitability of the company, it's not working for them, right? So why would an investor want to do FlexUp? Well, one of the reasons is that as an investor, you reduce your risk because you're sharing the risk with the rest of the team. And you know that the rest of the team needs the company to be profitable so that they get their credits and flex payments. So there's now an alignment of interest, which is called in finance, it's called the principal agent problem. I don't know if you heard about it. So the principal is the investor, the agent is the manager, and the investor and the manager, they have different objectives. So in finance, this is called principal agent problem. Okay. Any questions? Let me grab some tea.
Fabricio, you're mute.
Yes, I was saying, are there any questions? Or maybe let me ask you a question. Do you see any additional benefits that FlexUp can provide for maybe for different types of users?
Well, for investors, the old way, when he invests some money, he gets percentage for that. That doesn't mean he gets what's right for what he paid. If he paid 1 million for 1%, the owner own 99, but maybe he just invested also 1 million. So it's not fair. You give me 1 million and I worked 1 million,
Yes.
but I get 99 and you got 1%.
You're talking about this thing here, valuation stress.
Yes.
Yeah, that's very important. Maybe I should put it back here.
Yeah, because most companies ask for some money in exchange to some percentage in their company, but they don't know how to value that percentage. So they just say a number like 5% or 10% for the company for 1 million or $2 million.
Yeah. So this is so the way we resolve this is that and because we got some questions from one of Lara's employee called Victor and Paula and Nico will try to prepare a response. But one of his questions was, what is the value of the company? I'm getting tokens, but what is the current valuation? And in the current system, if I want to raise money, I'm going to say, hey, my company is worth, look, we're going to make 1 billion euros per year of revenues. So you should, our company is already worth 100 billion. But this is bullshit, right? I don't have any hard data to prove it. So the FlexUp system says, as long as a company is not making regular, stable revenues and profits, we don't look at potential future value. We look at the actual value of contributions invested. How much money the founder invested in cash? How much of his work did he actually invest? How much did the team invest? And it's basically what I call the cost-based valuation. So if the founder worked for 6 months, and an investor comes and gives him a 1 million, well, the investor will say, so I'm taking Hakim's example, the investor will say, well, how much have you, the founder, invested? The founder said, well, I only worked on this idea for 6 months. So how much is it worth? Well, if it's a great idea, this idea is worth billions. But if it's a poor idea, it's worth nothing. So at this stage, we don't know because we don't have any traction yet. So one of the options is to say, well, how much, what did you, that's how I do it. That's how I did it with Lara, because I was brainstorming with Lara. She was working on her project for 3 years before she did her funding round. So what is the value of the company? I said, well, how much salary did you get before you started working on True Local Heroes? Okay. So for 3 years, you didn't have any salary, but we consider that what you invested is the equivalent of the salary you would have had, fair market price. And so that's the value of the company today. So the guy who works for 6 months, maybe he was being paid 5,000 euros before in a bank. So I say, okay, you invested 6 months, that's 30,000 euros. So if now I give 1 million, then of course I've invested much more than you. But then the founder will say, well, now I only have 5% of the company, that I'm screwed. That doesn't work for me, right? So what is the solution that FlexUp provides to this problem? That I'm the founder, I only worked for 6 months, the value of my contribution is only, I don't know, 30,000 euros. And then I have an investor who puts €1 million because he loves my idea. But then in the current system, I would lose control because I only have 3% of the company. What is the solution that FlexUp provides to respond to this new problem? Right, so I resolve the valuation problem by saying, instead of a future profit-based valuation, I use a cost-based valuation. But then I create a new problem, which is potentially I can lose control because I have such a low valuation, and the contribution of all the team members, the contribution of investors is so much more than my contribution as a founder that I'm diluted and I become a minority shareholder. What is the solution that FlexUp provides? You should know because you all signed it in your contract.
It's
The token
charter.
index.
Sorry?
Token index.
The word token is correct, but it's not the index.
Redeemable tokens.
Bravo. Bravo, Anwar. Redeemable tokens. It means that if the business is super successful, and like it's a unicorn, right? The company is worth $1 billion. Then I'm the founder. I can go to Hakim and say, Hakim, you gave me €1 million when I needed to get started. You believed in me. That's great. But now I want to buy back your shares. and you get 10 times your investment. So I can buy you back for 10 million euros. So it's still a good deal for Hakim because he made 10 times his money. It's good. It's a good deal for me because I can keep control. And if instead of giving a 25% return to investors, I give much more, then this excess is due to the fact that I had a great idea and that as a founder and as a manager, I managed to recruit a great team and to implement it. So the value, if company is extremely successful, then all this extra value should not only go to investors, right? So redeemable tokens is the option for the founder, or at least for the company, to buy back some of the tokens, but at a price that must be quite high. So it's the initial price plus 25% per year. Okay. So after 10 years, that's 10 times your money. Okay.